Okay, same thing for number 1. Shh. Which of these graphs represents a direct variation? So, again, 2 reasons you know it's direct is if, number 1, it starts at 0, 0, and if the line is straight, if it's linear. So, does A start at 0, 0?
Yes. No.
So, that is not correct. Does B pass through the origin? Does it start here?
Yes.
B. Look at my green point. Oops.
Oh, no.
Does it, you're trying to see if the line hits the origin, which is there.
No.
Shh.
I thought the origin was the bottom.
No, it's got to be right here. So B does not pass the origin. Does C pass the origin? No, and it's curved, so we know that cannot be the answer. So what's the answer? D, it's straight and it passes through the origin. Okay, and this is just a repetition of the same question. Okay, so what's the reason for number 1? It starts where? And it's a straight line. Okay, number 2, this is similar to what we just did on the other page. We're trying to figure out if, right, X and Y must start at 0, 0 in order for it to be direct, and it has to have a constant rate of change, which means that each, it has to have a slope that's the same, which means that each variable has to go up by the same amount. So let's look at A. Does it start at 0, 0?
Yes.
Is the X value going up by the same amount every time? It's increasing by what? It's going up by 1, right? It goes 0, 1, 2, 3. Look at the Y values. Is it going up by the same number every time? It increased by 1 here, then all of a sudden, what did it increase by? 3. That is not direct. It cannot be direct, even though it starts at the origin, that's fine, but it's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be non-linear because it does not go up by the same amount every time. Okay, let's look at B. Does it start at 0, 0? Nope, can't be B. C, does it start at 0, 0? But does it have a constant rate of change? It goes up by 1, and then it goes up by what? Okay, so the answer is C, and we know that it can't be D because it starts at 0, 8. So explain your reasoning. Okay, so it starts at 0, 0, C starts at 0, 0, and it has a constant rate of change. The X and Y values go up by the same amount every single time, which means it's going to be linear. It has to be linear for it to be direct. Okay, so Remy works for $15 per hour. What's the rate of change? Tia? What's the rate of change? She's working $15 per hour. For every hour she works, she gets $15. What's the rate of change? 15. So $15 per hour is her rate of change. Before we even answer the rest of the questions, I want you to think about this for a second. Raise your hand if you think this will be a direct variation. Think about it. Okay. How do you know if it's a direct variation? What does it have to start at? If she works, think about this. If she works 0 hours, will she make any money? No. So do you think this is going to be direct? If you graph it? Thank you. How much will she earn if she babysits for 4 hours? Well, she's getting $15 for 1 hour.
15 times 4.
Thank you, Otava. 15 times 4 equals $60. Now, this one's a little more tricky. How long, so how many hours would she have to work if she made $135? You have to do the opposite of multiplication. Bethel. Sorry? How did you get that? You did $135, and we know that she makes $15 every hour, so we have to figure out how many times does 15 go into 135? You divided by 15. We're trying to figure out how many times does that go into 135, and the answer is 9 hours. So what would be your equation if you were to write an equation for this? Her rate of pay is equal to what? What is her rate of pay? Pay equals what? Yeah, Tia, 15. Use H. What did you do? Did you multiply by H or did you divide it by H to get the pay? So H. That's it. P equals 15H. Yes. Because, I'm not going to write it out here. It has a constant rate of change. It starts at the origin. And it's in the form y equals mx, right? The x and the y are directly related. So I'm not going to write all the answers I just said. We're looking at the graph. We have to find the rate of change. And I want you to write in big letters here that another name for rate of change is slope. So we can draw a triangle and calculate the rise over the run. So we're going to pick any 2 points that you can read easily. So let's pick, I'm going to do this one and this one. And we're going to draw the triangle, right? Because we're trying to figure out, what does this line rise by from the 2 points I picked? What does it rise by? It rises by 2, and then you simplified it. What does it run by? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, does everyone see that? It goes up by 2 and over 4. How would you write that in lowest terms? What's 2 divided by 4 equals 0.5, half. So every time it goes up by 0.5 and over by 1. Up by 2, over by 4. Okay, the rate of change is 0.5. For every 1, it goes up by half. So where does the line cross the y-axis? Does it hit the y-axis? Where does it hit the y-axis? Here's your y-axis here. And this is where it touches it, right? So what point? 0. Thank you. It hits the y-axis at 0, 0. Ooh, that's giving you a clue. What kind of relation is this? So what's the equation? Remember, it has to be in the form y equals? Yeah. And m stands for? The slope or the rate of change. What is the slope or the rate of change in those terms? So what's the equation, Kareem? Y equals? 0.5 x. Easy? Okay, so now that you have the equation, let's answer D. Okay, so we know the equation is y equals 0.5x. Now they're saying if x is 25, how would I calculate y? I would do y equals 0.5 times 25, right? Multiply it by 25, because this means 0.5 times x. So what's the answer? What's y equal to? What's 0.5 times 25? What do you get? 12.5. Does that make sense? You can use the equation to fill in and answer questions. Okay, so for number 5, based on what you just learned, you know that a direct variation has to be in the form y equals mx. Which equation, A, B, C, or D, shows a direct variation? Raise your hand if you think A. Y equals 3x plus 2. Is that direct? Again, we're not listening. Y equals mx is direct. You can't have a plus or a minus something that will not be direct. So I'll ask you this again. Y equals 3x plus 2. Is that direct? B, y equals 5x. Is that direct? Yes. Let's just make sure let's check the other ones. It could be more than one answer. C, y equals x squared plus 2. No, it has a plus 2 and it has an x squared. D, y equals 8 minus 4x. Is that in this form? No. It has to just be y equals something x. That's it. Okay?